Hey there, thanks for joining me for my V Brown Bag session here at HPE Discover 2018, growing your career through the V community. So, just a little bit about me. My name's Matt Crape. I'm an IT manager by day. I blog, I'm on Twitter, but I'm not going to spend much time on this slide because this presentation is about all you folks, the V community. So, what is the V community? Generally speaking, these are folks who volunteer their time in some fashion. They enjoy giving back, whether it's through learning, speaking, mentoring. There's lots of different facets that folks use. A lot of the time, though, the end goal is, we want to help others grow. Sometimes, a lot of us do this in order to help ourselves grow as well, whether it's through, teaching new concepts, forcing ourselves to learn these concepts so that we can teach others the same thing. So where can you find the V community? Typically it'll be things like bloggers, book authors, lots of it's on social media, Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, all those sort of sites. Conferences and events, just like HPE Discover here. There's definitely a community aspect here as well. Then you also have like influencer and advocacy programs. HPE has a great influencer program, VMware vExperts. There's lots of them out there. So now that we've touched on what the V community is, why did I want to talk about this? I chose this topic because it's something that's affected me personally and it's had great ramifications on my career. Through the V community, I've been able to really step up in a lot of different manners, doing things like presentations. If somebody told me 3 years ago that I'd be presenting, doing one of these V Brown Bags at a conference like this, I would have called them crazy. But over time, you get to meet other folks who do it, gives you confidence, you get pointers, and all that sort of stuff. So I've gained so much from getting involved that I always try to encourage new folks to get involved because there's so much that you can get back from it. I always say that the more you put in, the more you get out, and it's very true. So I touched briefly on what the V community is. So where can you find these folks? Twitter tends to be fairly popular, lots of folks on there, and that's where a lot of sort of the original organic V community came from, at least sort of in the VMware ecosystem. But that's definitely not the only spot where you can find it. There's definitely a presence on sites like LinkedIn, Facebook. There's lots of different groups on there. You get to know people, get to meet people on there. Instagram, I'm personally not a user, but I know there's an aspect to it there. Slack, if you're not familiar with, it's basically like the old school IRC. There's usually Slack channels for all sorts of stuff. If you're a VMware vExpert, there's a Slack channel there, a few hundred vExperts in there. That's a lot of brain power that you can tap into. And you've also got just sort of general blogging. Anytime somebody runs across a problem these days, one of the first things we do is we go to Google. You blog an error message, you blog a question, and you come up with, you ask a question, you come up with someone's blog. All that is part of the V community. So say you decide, I want to get a little more involved. How should you start off? The first thing you need to do is, you want to find some content. What interests you? What do you want to learn more about? Find those subject matter experts. If you're at a conference like this, or if you're at VMworld, or anything like that, and you have a really interesting session that you're in, find out who the speaker is. See if you can follow them on social media. Are they on Twitter? What's their Twitter handle? Can you connect with them on LinkedIn? Do they have a blog? Find all that stuff out. And by all means, if it's not readily available on their title slide, go up to them after the fact and say, hey, that was great. Are you on Twitter? Can I follow you? From there, take a look at who do they follow. You'll find that it quickly builds out this ecosystem of, hey, you know what, I'm following person A, and they're following all these other people that are either peers or, possibly just folks in different divisions within the same company, and that really helps expand your vision, as far as what sort of technologies are you looking at, who are you following. It gives you multiple points to get your information. And what content do they recommend? Are they always referring back to, whether it's some sort of hands-on labs, maybe it's a white paper library, maybe you see them always referring back to someone's blog. Take note of that stuff, right? Start frequenting those locations, those sites. Another great place is, your local peers. If you decide that, you know what, I'm going to go to a VMware user group or any other sort of technology user group in your area, talk to the people there, right? These are all, generally speaking, people from your local geographic area. Having lunch, just sit down, start a conversation. Hey, what do you think of the session so far? Build out that local network. There's something nice about, having peers within the same sort of area code as you that you can, just get together for, a meal or a drink at some point to just, talk about anything. There's definitely an aspect to the V community at conferences such as this. There's always events going on here at HPE Discover 2018. There's a whole influencer group of us here. Get involved with us, right? If you see one of us walking around, you might see, a name that you recognize. Reach out, just start talking to the person. Podcasts are another fantastic way to start consuming a lot of this content. Not to plug my site too much, but about 12, 14 months ago, I did a couple of posts on what I felt were like my favorite podcasts at the time and why. Feel free to search that up. One that I do want to highlight, though, is called The Geek Whisperers. Although they're not recording them anymore, they did record 140 episodes. They were all very much career focused. Each one of them had just pure gold in there from a career perspective, and it's all timeless. So do yourself a favor, find those older podcasts and listen to them. So now that you've found some content, hopefully you're getting that little bit of an itch to say, hey, you know what? I want to get more involved now. I want to start creating content. How do you start doing that? First thing you want to do is figure out what is it that you want to share. The common stumbling block that I see people get into is they say, I've got nothing to share. I've got no special story. I'm just some regular guy. Okay, you may think that, but I can guarantee that you could share something. I like to say that, this isn't Highlander. There could be more than one blog post on the same topic. And where there's real value in that is nobody else has got the same experiences as you. So you might go through the same sort of technical steps to, let's say, upgrade your vCenter from 6 to 6.5, but you might run into an error along the way, for example. Blog that out. Help someone else who might be going through the same steps and running into that error. The other benefit of sort of doing the same thing that might have already been covered is you're going to be doing it in your own words. If somebody's trying to search up, a problem that they're running into, they might come across your site first before someone else's, just based on the way that you wrote it. So if you go down the blogging route, there's plenty of platforms for beginners to get ramped up right away. The big ones would be WordPress. There's all sorts of options for that, self-hosted, you can pay them to host it. And there's Blogger. You can just sign up for an account and start blogging right away. So it's not hard. And you really want to challenge yourself. Give yourself some sort of guideline. Say, you know what, I'm starting off, I want to do one blog post a month, or one every 2 weeks, one a week, whatever it is. Push yourself to get that content out. There's a great community challenge called VDM 30 and 30, which basically is a community challenge. You're not being judged or anything, but the intent is to get 30 blog posts out in 30 days. I did this a couple of years ago. It was very challenging. I gave myself some guidelines saying I want to be all tech related, at least 500 words, all that sort of stuff. It was really hard, but you know what? I managed to do it, and I feel I'm better off because of it. You can also, I like to say there's sort of two types of posts that you can do at a high level. You can sort of do the break-fix posts, which are great for helping people out. Then you can sort of do the thought pieces, where you can say, you know what? That's at HPE Discover, and here's some of the high-level technology that we saw. Here's where I think it's going to be applicable, and here's where I think HPE is going to have the edge on something down the line. And that really helps you get your own thoughts out and develop your perspective on the industry as well. And lastly, don't worry about stats. Everyone starts off at 0, right? And ultimately, it really doesn't matter. You don't know who's reading these things, and it really doesn't matter who's reading these things. A lot of it's about personal growth. And you'll find that you come across folks who say, hey, you know what, that blog post that you wrote really helped me out. And that's awesome. So I mentioned Twitter. just some quick tips on getting started on there. Back when I first hopped on, it's like I don't need to post pictures of the ham sandwich that I'm having for lunch. What's the point of Twitter? Going back to what I was saying earlier, find those folks that you want to follow. And you'll quickly find that's a great way to find new content. Use hashtags whenever you can. It's a quick way to search for content based on a specific topic. Popular ones are like vExpert. Here, for example, we're using HPE Discover. Anything tagged with that makes it nice and easy to find who's here, what are they talking about, and it's a content basically what you need right now. Find a good Twitter client. The Twitter webpage is garbage as far as I'm concerned. There's some good apps out there. At the very least, use Tweetbot. It's browser-based, so it works on anything. You get different columns, makes searching easy. If you're at a conference, challenge yourself to meet new people every day. It's actually a lot easier than you think once you get going on it. And this really sort of broadens your input into the whole overall V community. Take a chance to go to vendor parties, regional meetups, V-beers, all that sort of stuff. They're much more laid back, social related. Once again, a great way to meet people. If you do attend VMworld, make sure you check out the V Underground party, VMUG party, and of course, the fantastic V Brown Bag stage. Always great stuff going there. So to wrap things up, some closing tips. Engage folks in having an opinion. Don't be that person on Twitter who's just constantly retweeting stuff and not really adding any value. I like to say, yes, facts could be wrong. If your opinion's based off a fact and that fact is wrong, you can change your opinion. But if the fact is right and you still have that opinion, that's fine. Everyone's entitled to their own opinion. And that's really where you start to add the value. You get to engage folks in conversations over that opinion. If you're not on Twitter, get on there, use hashtags. It's a great way to find the content that you're looking for in a hurry. And remember, these are all people too. These are people who are mostly volunteering their time. There's no need to be mean, rude, anything like that. You'll find that a lot of these folks are, just out there to help. Take advantage of that. Create content, whether that's blogging, crafting tweets, providing opinions, doing YouTube videos, recording a podcast. Get started. It gets easier and easier every time. And lastly, get to know your advocacy and influencer programs. Get involved with that sort of stuff. It leads to being invited to events, getting knowledge, being put in front of some key decision makers. And that's one of the most valuable ways to expand your career. So with that, thank you very much.